Well, how I got there was leading up to like the weeks before I entered detox on a February 12th, 2007. The weeks before, I had a girlfriend who had a sugar daddy that was a shady doctor. And so she said, "Hey, why don't you go see this doctor and to give me medication to get me off the drugs." So I go to his office and he goes, it was basically just to make it look semi-official and ask me some random questions, but he already knew because the girl that, he was taking care of, he supplied her with the drug. So he was not an up and up doctor, that's for sure. So he gave me Xanax. I was coming off at that time methamphetamine, which you don't get DTs from, but so he gave me a prescription. All I know in this 2-week period, it's a blur to me. I slept most of it. I would take the medication. There's a refill in there. And when I would come to, I would take the pill and I wouldn't know if it had been 10 minutes or if I'd been asleep for 5 hours.
Wow.
Part of my history is I have a brother-in-law who's a cop. And based on the type of people I hung out with, we kind of had an understanding. Jose did not come to my house, without, actually, he really never came to my house because he knew what I was doing. We never had a clear conversation, but he's a cop. He knew, but he was always my brother-in-law first. So he was trying to reach me during this time. I was unreachable. Nobody could reach me. And he had a really bad feeling. And at this point, I'm about 2 weeks taking all these pills. And he had, again, bad feeling. He showed up, knocked down my door. I didn't answer, knocked down my door, and I had overdosed, and I was barely alive. And he's my angel. And Jose, if it wasn't for Jose, my brother-in-law, who just knew something was wrong with me, I absolutely would have died.
What was the reason for prescribing Xanax to get you somewhat of relief from that?
Hence the word shady doctor. I could not answer that question. My family wanted to go after that doctor legally after they found out what happened. And my thoughts was, although it was super shady and I almost died, it also got me sober because that when I went to the hospital and I was in the emergency room soon enough in which I was able to, that I had not completely overdosed and died. I had overdosed, but just hadn't died yet.
Well, congratulations and thank the heavens for your brother-in-law Jose to have the insight to come. And you got to ask yourself, let's look a little bit deeper than this too. Would you have really had a case? You was an addict. It would have been your word against his. And yeah.
But I mean, my stepfather, he's a businessman and was a very big and he wanted to go after him, but I was just like, it's not worth it, Dad. It's really not worth it. And again, it was a blessing in its own way, and it got me sober.
So
inches and seconds to dying.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that didn't happen.